This is the Groove Guru podcast. My name is Windsor, and my guest today is Ray Biggin. Pete is a phenomenal drummer and has worked with a variety of super successful acts from Amy Winehouse, Incognito, Mark Ronson, Chaka Khan, and more, to your current gig as drummer with Level 42. You also lead your own band, PBUG, formerly known as PB Underground. Have created Drums at the Front, an educational minus drums play along package. You've been featured on the cover of Rhythm magazine and are also an accomplished clinician. Pete, thank you for being here today and welcome to the Groove Guru podcast.
How you doing, my bro? You okay? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, great to speak today. And we're just saying it's pretty synchronous how it came about. You know, I'd heard about you a few years ago and saw you playing with Level 42, and then there was a London drum show you were playing at. You were on the bill. I think it was Gavin Harrison. And I was like, who is this crazy dude playing such amazing drums? You know? and I saw there was a clinic in Guildford. And and it was cool. A few episodes ago, I had Simon Hansen on from Squeeze, and he was mentioning you. He said that, you know, there was a festival you were both on, and you were just saying how, you know, lucky you are to
we hung out.
be doing what you do.
We did the drummers thing, you know, drummers like come together, don't they, sort of thing, and start talking about each other's kit behind the stage and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a top man.
Absolutely. And indeed, and then there was another mutual connection that knew you. So it's like, you know, very synchronous. So yeah, we're doing it. Man. Great. So as someone, you know, who grew up in Sheffield, moved to London 2002, excuse me, and you've made a lot of your dreams come true in music and life. You know, what's most exciting for you these days in rocking your world, Pete?
Well, I mean, you know, it's been a great 27 is when it really kicked off for me, because I was living in London from about 21, 22, and I was in an original band called Rain. And then we all lived together, lived in a house and all this sort of stuff. And we sort of did about 6 years of that. And then we were just sort of making the album and getting on each other's tits, and then ended up breaking up, as you do when you're young in a band. And my first gig was like Amy Winehouse, which was nice because I kind of knew her before she used to come and watch my original band Rain. So then we just got on, and that was like my first sort of proper big gig, you know, and that's when everyone starts throwing drums at you and cymbals and saying, do you want this free? And I'm like, well, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, it was nice. And that's where it kicked off, from Amy Winehouse to Mark Ronson. And then with Mark, we played with an array of different artists, and my CV went up from there, and crazy tours, and just, yeah, it was just great. And then obviously moved on to my dream sort of like kid hero bands, you know, like Incognito, and played with Shaka, and yeah, man, and then just dropped the Level gig, which was nice. So yeah, it's been a good few years, let me say.
Absolutely. And you know, it's like you're known for playing with Level 42, which is awesome. You know, you've landed that dream gig. You've been doing it for years and continue to ace it, you know, year after year. You know, like a few years before that, and those other gigs and those processes, you know, what were some of the key things that you learned in the process of those, like wisdom that equipped you for being able to show up at that level with the Levels? Is there anything jumps out?
I mean, I think like you know, because it's different these days, you know, some kids come straight out of college onto some big gigs, and I think what was good for me is I did years and years of driving to gigs in my car with a kit in the back of as soon as I was 17, from Sheffield, I was driving all over the shop and doing gigs. And I think that was like my university of learning to be a musician, is doing all your, you know, your pub gigs, your wedding gigs, and, you know, having really crap gigs and then having good gigs and meeting different musicians. So for me, that was the training, that since I was like, I mean, I was gigging since I was 13, but that, you know, the training, a good 10 years of training before I hit big gigs, do you know what I mean? So it's like, as soon as I hit the big gig, there was no pressure. It was just like, bang, you know what to do. So I mean, it was good for me, that the experience of doing all the sort of gigs and by myself, you know, and then getting the pop gig. I was ready for it, man. Do you know what I mean? So that's the experience that kicks in. So yeah, you know, experience is a good thing, and you should never you should never snub all the sort of wedding and function gigs, because they're the ones that can bring you to nailing a good pop gig, you know.
Absolutely. And you know what's as well with that, you know, when you're doing more of a profile pop gig on that level, you know, a lot of people that are, you know, stars in the industry, like, you know, there was Amy for one, you know, amazingly talented at what she did, you know, yet not always, she wasn't always in the best place, and a lot of people can, you know, succumb to that. You know, it could be the Elvis, Judy Garland, you know, fill in the blank. You know,
Yeah.
what are some things that, you know, how have you come to navigate that balance between, you know, being in the limelight so much and then finding that, you know, fulfillment and groundedness, you know, off stage, which can be a struggle for many who are quite successful in the business?
Well, I think you get your gigs. I think, you know, I think 30% is your playing, and I think it'd be 70% of what you like as a person and how you get on with people and how you're professional in turning up on time. Is your equipment in good order? Have you got your shit together? Do you know what I mean? So all these little things become a part of what you are, you know, being reliable, not being an arse to people, not being full of yourself or big headed.
Mm.
And it's how it's what goes off the stage. Not for me, it was, you know what I mean? Because you just want to work with good people and nice people, you know. And I know quite a lot of great up top players who you know, just quite full of themselves, and you know, I mean, it's cool, you get the gigs and all that, but then again, you lose them as well. So it's like, so. But I think, you know, man, treat people like you want to be treated yourself, and be nice and just be professional, and yeah, you shouldn't go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's, you know, many people who are not musicians, they see the tip of the iceberg, the 2 hours or 90 minutes, whatever it is on stage, but then there is all that other part,
Yeah,
which is the biggest part of the iceberg that
if
you
you
don't see.
get on off stage, if you're really
Yeah,
good mates off stage, then on stage, it's easy. The music will speak for itself, you know.
absolutely. And, you know, one real, before we go into the levels stuff, I've got some questions and cool things about your playing, is that, you know, a lot of people, you know, see you play with Level 42 and you do this amazing, you know, technical, you've got a vast vocabulary and all works brilliant for the context. But what I think a lot of people may not realize about yourself is that you also really know how to dial it back. And I remember seeing a clip of you on your Instagram. It was a session you did with Scott Devine from Scott Space Lessons and the artist that you were working with. And
Oh,
you're,
yeah, that was cool.
and it's like you were playing was like super simple there, but again, it was just, you know, perfect for the context. And so tell us more about the importance of, you know, playing for the song and the context.
Take your ego out of it and play what's needed for the song. It's not your song. It's not about you. It's about what you know, just Richard Bailey said this, another great English drummer. He was Trinidadian guy. He played for Incognito for 25 years, and he just went, man, just keep the groove. No pa 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 ting ting ting, keep the groove. And it always stuck with me, that, because I'm a very busy player, you know, and I guess a lot of people see me being that player, but there's no reason why I can't play simple and easy. It's just the gigs I've had, I've been going mental, like a caged monkey. You know what I mean? But like you say with that aerial possum stuff, that was wicked, and that was only one take. That shit came in, and I was listening to his stuff, and I was like, I really like this guy's stuff, and bro, we just did it one take. We did 3 songs, and each song was one take, and Ariel just said, man, it's cool, man. It's just like, it's a little bit different. We could rehearse it. He said, but I want to leave it at this because this is a lovely take. And I went, that's how it should be, man. You know what I mean? You just get your head down, play the song, take your ego out of it. You don't play what you want to play. You listen. Don't listen to yourself. Listen to what else is going on around you, and just play the song. Listen to the vocal, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, I do like that sort of stuff. But I learned that stuff from being in a studio by myself, having a recording studio, and just being able to play along to stuff and listen back, because, you know, it doesn't lie. That's how you sound, man. And it's like, you know, and you're like, oh, shit, is that me? God, I sound horrible, man. You know, and it's like, you know, the thing is, like I said, that shit don't lie, and it teaches you what not to play, you know. So and it's nice, man, you know, playing simple music. It's like you feel it. You don't have to be going mental. You can just feel it in your soul and your spirit, man, and just go with it, you know. So yeah, it's and it's hard actually sometimes to play, you know, the hardest things to do, right? You know, when someone goes, oh, try this fill, and you go, yeah, and then you just start speeding it up. Learn it slow. It's really hard to learn slow, honestly. To teach something, I say play it as slow as you possibly can. It's so harder to play it slow than faster. But if you can play it slow, then man, it's going to sound so much better when you speed it up. So it's the same for me with simple music, man. It's like it's hard. It's for a lot of people, it's harder to do, but it's so much nicer, you know.
Yeah. That I call that, you know, quality, not quickness. You know, just and 100%, you know, that it can be challenging to listen back to yourself, you know, because the tape 100% always tells the truth. That's what went down. And then
sound rubbish. You're like, oh god, I sound rubbish. But I think most great musicians think they're rubbish, so it's that's how it is, you know.
But you know, that's kind of, you know, what's needed, you know, as I see it, that kind of failure or that going for something and not being able to do it yet, you know, like it is just part of it, because you just got to meet that edge and then expand it, you know, as we know. And but awesome. And so level 42, I love hearing you play with those guys. And you know, I think a lot of people who might not have heard about how you got that gig, you know, the dream gig, and you got the call from Mark, you know, could you tell us about that, a quick recap on that one?
Well, I was on tour with Incognito at the time, and someone called me up and went, look, the level 42 gig, they want a depth drummer because Gary can't do it next year. And I went, yes, put my name forward for that, you know. I said, you know, it was one of my favorite bands as a kid. You know, I met him when I was 11 and played Gary's kit. And so I was like, I kind of just knew just from that first call it was my gig. Anyway, so Mark King called me one day, 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. Hello. Hello. I think I was still hungover, to be honest. And he goes, hi, is that Ray Biggin? I said, yeah. He says, this is Mark King. And I think my first words was, what's took you so long to call, man? So, but he said, look, you know, Gary can't do next year. And this was like November. Gary can't do next year. Would you be up for stepping in? I said, yeah, man. I love the band. You know, it's one of my favorite bands as a kid, you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, February came. We went in and just set up the kit and just, you know, bashed out a load of the hits. And obviously I knew the shit from when I was a kid, you know. Mike Leonard was like, wow, Pete, you've really done your homework. And I was like, just like, I know the stuff, you know. So Mark was like, well, do you want to play any more songs? I said, yeah. He says, which song? I said, well, any of them, because I know them all. And he went, all right. So he started playing Love Meets Love, which I didn't know. So I had to blag that one. But yeah, it was just, and literally after the rehearsal, it's kind of an audition, but just a rehearsal as well. And next minute, the photographer came in, and the next day I was announced as the new level 42 drummer, which was nice. So yeah, it's quite a blessing to have that gig. And to be honest, I don't really see there's many big kind of gigs like that where you can play your ass off over hit songs, you know. There isn't that many, and it's a drummer's gig that, you know, obviously playing with Mark as well, you know, what a fantastic musician that guy is, you know, and what a great man he is as well. A lovely man and an absolute beast as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's been great coming back into level 42 and bringing some new blood and new fire and, you know, ramping it up a bit. Do you know what I mean? And the fans really like me, which was nice. So yeah, man, just I mean, you always get you guys like, yeah, but you're not Phil, are you? I'm like, well, yeah, I know I'm not Phil, but I love what Phil did and I love what Gary did, and I'll still do them Phils, and I'll still do like his little hi-hat tricks to pay homage to these guys. But you know, I will be me, but I will also, like I said, you know, do the fills in hot water, and just, you know, because people are used to these on the record, and that's another thing is when you do a gig. If you're doing a gig, you can't just play what you want. You've got to play things that are on the album because people are attached to these parts. You know what I mean? So, and it's nice playing these parts. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, put your own fingerprint on it, but always be respectful to what's been done before. you know.
Indeed. Yeah. It's like, changing some of those signature, drum fills. Some people may think, oh, it's just a drum fill, but it's like changing the guitar riff of
Yeah,
the
but bro,
songs.
it's cool. It's cool doing them. It's like, how much do you want to change something? Do you know what I mean? It's like it ain't gonna sound any better. Do you know what I mean? Just like, if you start Rock With You with a completely different, like, people are gonna be like, what is that man play? Like, you got to play Rock With You, Phil. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've got to do that shit, So yeah, it's nice to play parts, man. Do you know what I mean? So also nice to have the freedom to go mental, because if I'm not fucking going mental, he's going, come on. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, perfect. And that's what I was going to touch on next, actually. So great point. It's that, compared to the original records, there is a lot more going on with your playing, for sure. And how much of that was directed by the band and Mark, which you've just answered a bit, and then via your own creative input?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it, man. I mean, the guy's in his mid-60s now, and he's still playing like he was 18. Do you know what I mean? He's an absolute monster. So, yeah, he's never really told me to chill out or anything. It's just when you sort of maybe read some of the comments on the Level 42 post, you think, oh, yeah, maybe I should just chill out a bit. It's just like, but man, everyone's different. And I think the energy shows, and that's, the energy and the passion and the spirit when you watch Level 42 live now. And that's why the gigs have just got better and better, and more people have come, and people have brought their kids, and now the kids are into it. So it's kind of rejuvenated the whole Level 42. And to be honest, and this is not my ego speaking, the band is the best it's ever been, because I've followed the band since I was a kid, and I followed the band when Gary was there, and I watch it now and it's like, nah, man, that's the band hands down now is monster. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I remember there was a recent show you did on, I think, the most recent tour. It was on one of those Rock Palace concerts. It was in Germany somewhere, I think, earlier this year. And wow, I was amazed at how awesome the whole thing sounded. You sounded great, and Mark as well. It's like, wow, he's still full steam ahead. It's like a juggernaut. Elegant power. It was awesome. So who are your influences for that? Because in your playing, I hear like a bit of maybe Simon Phillips. There's a big kit thing going on, like kind of Vinny type playing when he worked with Sting. But Dennis Chambers seems to creep up.
Yeah, I mean, I never got into Simon Phillips too much, because he was off the back of like Billy, and I mean, fantastic drummer. It's just my three guys who I watched when I was a kid was Dennis, Dave Weckl, and Vinny. But also not forgetting Jeff Porcaro. Jeff Porcaro was one of my favorites as well. And as I got older, then I discovered, Purdy and Steve Gadd. Obviously these guys. It's. But I think I was a bit of a Weckl fan to. But then Vinny came along. I was like, oh man, he's a bit more different. So a bit more. Yeah. And then I got Chambers, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. It's over.
Oh wow! Like discovering Vinny. He was one of the first guys that I'd heard that I genuinely had no idea of what he was doing. Until I, did a lot more transcribing and analysing. It was just right off the bat. It's like, wow, what's that? And the first time I heard you playing, it was the same thing. It's like, what is this? Yeah. And breaking some of that down, I'd love to hear your take on it. One thing I think that you're exceptional at is phrasing. Catching figures in the music and stabs in the music and playing around them. How did you develop that, and who's influenced you in doing that musically?
I think it's probably to do with my ADHD, mate. It's like as soon as I hear something, I go, it's just like, it must be because I mean I am a musical drummer. Do you know what I mean? It's like and if I hear a horn thing go, the next time I've caught it, it's like But again, that's a listening thing. It's a teaching thing. You can't teach your ears. It just comes with experience. but you need to use these. These are more important than these things. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you can do all this shit, but if you're not using these, these are very important. So for me, yeah, now it's my if I catch stuff, it's from listening to what's going on. And sometimes, I guess in my early Incognito days, man, I was catching everything. It's like fucking all the stabs. And just one time, Sid Gold, Scottish guy, came up to me and he went, "Hey, Pete, you don't have to play the whole of my solo." Just like, because I'd be playing all the bits with and I was like, okay, I'm a drummer. I shouldn't be playing his solo with him. You know what I mean? So it's a learning thing,
Yeah, great to have the ability to do that as well.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's great when someone tells you to shut them up, so it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, another thing, there was a cool thing. It was a really interesting part of your playing is the left hand timbale and percussion playing that you integrate. Right. How did that come about for you, and what was your influence?
I just took it on from when Richard Bailey was doing it with Incog, and I thought, oh, that's cool. This kind of, I'll just start using this thing. But then one day someone went to me, when you switch that way, Pete, and you do that, and he says, you're playing left-handed there. And I was like, am I? And then I was just like, oh yeah, because I'm holding that there, and then I'm doing stuff here, and then I'm switching back to being right-handed while doing the timbales. So I guess I'm kind of the ambidextrous has come out, but I don't know, man. I mean, I've never really studied it. Okay. I just something I do, and it's just gradually it's evolved. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I kind of do this thing where I'm hitting the crash cymbal like this, and if you break that down, you're actually leading with your left arm, so you're actually playing left-handed when you're doing it. And I just did it as just something that looks cool, man. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, if you break it down, it's quite all right, yeah. And it's funny because, you can break stuff down and that, but you just play, man. Just play and don't stop letting this think too much. It's as soon as this starts thinking too much, then all your blood's going here and not here, And it's like, you don't need to really think about it. You don't need to think about breathing. You don't need to think about walking down, like everyone has got rhythm, man. This is the weird thing. Everyone's got timing and rhythm because everybody walks down the street in time, but then some people can't dance because they're trying to think about it and just naturally let shit happen and practice as much as of what you can do, and then you just let it happen, and it should just come out. So yeah, I guess, sorry, I was just veering off.
Great point, because I was wondering, how much variation is there from night to night, like with Level 42 gig? Is it?
It's always different.
Very specific, yeah.
Like I said, the songs are set, but there'll always be something Mark will throw in, and I'll end up catching it, and he'll do it the next night, and then that'll evolve over the next few gigs to something when the horns catch it, and bang, it's like, it's just like keep just throwing little things in, and everyone's going, oh, I'll have a piece of that, I'll have a bit of that. It's like, and music should be fun. If it's not fun, then stop and think why it's not fun. It should always just be something you can do naturally. Do you know what I mean? And if you can't do it naturally, then you practice harder, and when you come back to it, you shouldn't really have to think about it as much as what you did when you were trying to do it before. So
yeah, absolutely. And how easy is the gig for you? Because obviously, like, that's a very high level of playing. Is it easy, or are there moments that's tough, or what?
I mean, I am sweating my balls off the first song, but that's just because I go in at 110% on the first bar. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's not an easy gig. There's a lot of notes. But like I said, bro, like, these songs have been played for 40 years, and they're great songs to play. And it's like every night you're playing a similar thing, but you've got the option to a little bit of play around with it and just enjoy it. And it's just fun. It's enjoyable to play. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can play your ass off over a hit song, but I think the older I'm getting, the more I like to let it breathe a bit more now, and just kind of like, and listen to what's going on, and just sit back and just let it happen, man.
Absolutely. And what's your favourite tune? Do you have a fave after all these years?
I would say I would say to play, it really puts me in a nice place because I just close my eyes and there's so much space in the song, and there's parts to it as well. Children Say is a beautiful song to play. Because you've
Yeah.
got Phil's little hi-hat thing in there, and the fills as well. That it's a really lovely song to play. That, but again, like It's Over is a lovely song to play. They're all great songs to play, man. It's like Hot Water. Do you know what I mean? It's like monsters, man. But I think Children Say is like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love that. It was a kind of cool, without going into drum speed, it was a cool syncopated part of that was like, oh, that's lovely. But as well, it's like listening to levels again recently. It's like I've had like level 42 radio in my head just because they're so catchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great
brilliant tunes. Brilliant. How much do you guys? Last levels question, then we'll move on to some more stuff. But when you prep for a tour, how much do you guys all rehearse, and how much goes into that?
Well,
with you beforehand,
I'm a big fan and believer of this. Is you do your homework before you get in the rehearsal. You don't do your homework in the rehearsal. You turn up prepared as much as possible. Now, we played these songs for years. I know the songs, so there's only so much you can play them in rehearsal. So generally, Mark's like, we'll book, I don't know, we'll do the tour, he'll book 3 or 4 rehearsals, and we'll chuck in, let's say we've had the normal set through the year, there's another 4 extra songs. We'll go in there, the first day rehearsal, we'll just play them extra 4 songs that we haven't probably played in the year or whatever, and we'll just nail them a few more times. And then literally he'll go, all right, cool, that sounds great. We'll run the set the next day, boys, blah, blah, blah. We'll run the set, we'll get in, all the guys have set up the gear, run the set probably once, and Mark will be like, right, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
So we just end up, again, if it sounded a bit rough, he'd be like, right, let's do it again. But the fact is, we all go into the rehearsal knowing what we're doing, and rehearsal should be easy. Do you know what I mean? And it is. So you run the set once, he's happy, I'm happy, everyone can go to the pub. Great. Early night, you know what I mean? So, and then he'll probably go, actually, we don't need to rehearse tomorrow. But, because who knows? It's just like, so yeah, it's always be prepared for a rehearsal. Be over prepared for a rehearsal.
Yeah, and I think that's a real key point that especially some younger drummers might not get, is that rehearsal, you're going to rehearse what you've already practiced, and then it's more of like a finer details thing, perhaps. But
I've done some things before in the pop industry, and I've got in there, I've learnt my shit, I've gone in there, and I'm just sat around waiting for the guy who's the MD pissing around on the backing track. And I'm just sat there like for an hour looking at my phone, and I'm like, yo, man, should we do this? And he's like, yeah, let's just, it's all right, man. Yeah, I'm just, it's all cool. Just take your time. I'm like, but this is boring. You should have done this at home, mate. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm just trying to get everyone paid. I'm like, I'd rather just get in, do the rehearsal and make sure we nailed it, and then everyone can go home. So I don't like pissing around in rehearsals. I think the rehearsal, obviously when the artist comes in, he wants it all solid and everything. So you might have a couple of days with a band, bang, 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 bang. But when the artist comes in, it should be nailed and down. He's happy, and then you run it with the artist until he feels cool or she feels cool, and then you're good. But I don't like this. I don't know. This is maybe a different generation, but
great points. And speaking about that, especially with the new generation, and I know you've done a lot of clinics, you're experienced in imparting wisdom very clearly, and what are some top pieces of wisdom you think that drummers, especially up and coming ones, new and perhaps even active pros, don't see that they're not doing, and perhaps need to hear a bit more to do what's right for the music? What do you think?
I think I said it already, mate. I think just you be as prepared as possible to be able to pull anything out of the bag and be able to nail it. Always keep your groove. Groove is what's going to pay your bills. And just be easy to work with, man. Easy to work with. Know your shit. Be professional and be easy to work with.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. So, quick question. Social media. So this is one that comes up with a lot of different musicians, and social media, it's obviously here to stay. And, in contrast, obviously, you know, meeting people in person in flesh and blood is the real thing. But what do you think the real place of it is? And you know, who are some people in our field that you know that use it in a really valid way that works?
Well, I mean, it's different. I think like my generation, we've got kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, my generation above me is just not bothered at all, you know, because but it's just different now, man. It's like, you know, it used to be like, you know, if you was the greatest bedroom player back in the 90s, right? And I mean, I knew a few of these guys just practice all day long. I'd be like, shit, man, you're amazing. Get out and play. But they was just bedroom players. And the point was then, it was like, well, if you're a bedroom player, no one knows who you are. How are you going to get gigs? It's different now, mate. You know, the bedroom players are the one that's got 2.5 million followers and they're getting all the endorsements deals and all the. So it's like, it's not now, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It used to be that one, right? It's not even that now. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. So it's kind of, it's interesting now, you know. So, but I think, you know, even the best players are not the greatest on social media. You know what I mean? And if they are, they're doing really well. Like, look at Eric Moore, man. That guy is just constantly posting videos. My mate Kaz, you know, Kaz Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Them guys have done so well because. So, but I'm pretty shit at the social media thing, to be honest. So, you know, and also I like my private life as well, man. Do you know what I mean? I like to be quite private, but yeah. So, but I mean, you can use this what do you call it? This social media now to really benefit off gigs you get and your brand, man. It's like, it's amazing. It's an amazing tool now, isn't it? You know. So
yeah, I mean, and that's how I see it. It's a tool, because you know, that point of, you know, being a freelance professional, it's like we are the kind of business, and I think a lot of, especially younger players, need to realize it is a music business. So what resonates is
not in music, you're in the music business, and also you're not just a drummer now. You're not just, your drumming is 20% of what you should be doing, because you should be the photographer, the video guy, the video editor, you're the website guy, you're the mixer, you're the masterer, you're the fucking producer. It's like now you have to do everything, you know what I mean? So it's and some people struggle with that, you know.
And yeah, just keeping it simple. You know, I think I've learned, it's like, you know, if a plumbing company is on social media, or, you know, fill in the blank, painter or decorator, you know, it's like what they do is they just show their work, you know, which I think just keeps it simple, and it, again, takes the ego out of it. Not look at me, but you know, just that's a clip from a gig I did or whatever, you know, keeping it humble. But your project, PBUG, PB Underground. So you lead PBUG. So what led you to create that? And please tell us more about PBUG.
Well, I mean, I was coming out the end of Ronson, and I managed to get Abbey Road for the day for free. I mean, we were doing something there, and I was speaking to the engineer, and I was like, "Look, man, I've got this really cool idea about getting all these great musicians together." And and I said to him, "Man, you know, it'd be great. You could like set mics up and try some new shit, you know, get him involved." And he was like, "Yeah, this is cool. I might be able to get like Abbey Road for a day free." And anyway, he called me up. He said, "Pete, I can get Abbey Road next week. Blah blah blah. Do you want to come in with some guys?" And I went, yes. So I just pulled a few guys together. We went in there, and that's how the first demo started, PB Underground, you know. And then I was on tour with Mark Ronson at the time, and it was the three horn guys, the Haggis horns, and it was Malcolm, Athol, and Jason Ray, who's not here right now. He passed away. He was married to Corinne Bailey Ray, and while we was on tour, he ended up passing away tragically, which was quite hard. And I'd already spoke to them about doing the horns on it, so that kind of threw a spanner in the works. Bless him, you know. So yeah, and then I met some guys while I was on a gig out in Bahrain. These horn guys, my buddy Dan Carpenter, and Dan just went, "Yeah, man, I want a piece of this." And I said, "You write all the horn lines, do all the things. I'll write the music. I'll get the guys in." So great. And then he just spiraled on from there. And then I went on to doing Incognito. So I had an array of all these great guys around me, and I was playing in Incognito, which is a similar vibe to what I was going for, but mine a bit more like youthful and a bit more fiery, you know what I mean, and fresh sort of thing. So yeah, and that's how it started, man. But yeah, it's a tough one when you've got a big gig, because that's your bread and butter, and also it's good. The ethos of you being on a big gig is good. So it's hard running your own project, man, because you're always worried if I sign a contract and then Level get a gig in, it's like it's going to clash, and it's like, what do I do? So it's always been a tough one, that, unless you hang your boots up and really just get your head down and do your own project. You know what I mean? So it's that's one thing I've always sort of battled with. But yeah, man, it's cool, man. You just gotta like have dreams and what you want, and you can make it happen, man. It's like,
absolutely. And what dreams are you working on these days? What's the next dream you're making come true?
Just wet dreams. That's what I'm working on. No, I mean, like, well, I just built some studios in Watford. We built 15 recording studios, and then got shafted by the landlord, so we lost £450,000 there, which was nice. so yeah, all the expense, all my savings and shit went into that. But hey, man, it's all good. I got a little studio at home at the moment, so I've got back into my writing, which is nice, because the last 4 years I became a builder. I was building recording studios, which was great because COVID, there was no workaround. So I was like, right, buy all these DeWalt tools and just get everything sorted. And I built an amazing recording studio. And then the landlords came in and shut us down last year. So that's all done now. It's cool. Things happen, shit happens. You wipe your hands with it, move on, start again. And then that was it. Yeah. So that was my dream the last few years. But now my dream back is to get back a new PBUG album, or an EP, at least for the summer. I'm also setting PBUG Live up, which is going to be like a high class corporate wedding parties band, because to be honest, man, like, my band is by far one of the best bands in this country. Musicianship, songs, whatever you want to call it. It is. And that's not me being egotistical. I just know it is, because they ain't shit like that in England at the moment,
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you know what? I've done a few parties before with it, and man, we play all the Earth, Wind and Fire shit and all the good Tower Power stuff. So I'm like, why would I not want to put that out and earn some money from it? So yeah, so that's my focus at the moment. I'm just setting that up for the summer. And the PBUG, the PB Underground new EP will be coming out sometime this year. Also, we're playing down at Ronnie's, doing the Tower of PBUG, which is cool. So we're doing Tower of Power night down at Ronnie's. That's all sold out, which is good. So yeah, man, just like, just getting my music together again now, the start of this year, and coming up with that, man. Just getting on with shit.
That's great. Yeah, and it's awesome to hear. And that's another thing I've always admired about you. Is you're like moving forward no matter what, keeping that attitude absolutely.
Well, you have to,
positive. 100%. And just one other point on PBUG. I know you had the drums at the front, like book package, like minus drums. Is that? Can you tell us about that? Can people still get that?
Yeah, that's still around, man. That's still on my website. You can buy that on my website. It was basically, it was my album, the PB Underground album, and it was such a great album, like with great singers, great musicians, horn lines, everything. I just thought, well, why don't I just take my drums off this and make it an educational package? So I did. So I scored it out into three sort of levels, which is beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Advanced being what I played on the record. So like the beginner, like you could get a little kid, a 5-year-old, who could hold a groove to play along to it. So yeah, I basically took my drums off the album and made it in because I was like, this, and it's tough, man. You're like, this is your album. You're like, oh no, I can't touch that. But then I was going, hang on, I'd never seen anyone do this. I've seen people make drumless tracks at home on MIDI keyboards and shit sounds and all that, but not a real album. And I was like, man, how cool would it have been if I could have got like Level or Incognito's album as a kid minus the drums as an educational package? And everyone's sort of got a little studio set up these days, a laptop or some cheap mics, and people play along to it, make videos. That's what they do. So yeah, it was this nice little package I wanted to put out and help people, and people are still buying it, man. It's nice. It's been out like 5 years or 4 or 5 years now, and it's a great book, and it's playing along to great real album tracks. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but if anyone's interested, it's on my website, peteraybiggin.com, and you can get it there.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can check out what you do. And so awesome, and great to hear that you're still moving forward with that. An amazing sounding band, so much energy. I remember hearing you playing some of the tracks live at that clinic in Guildford, and it's like, wow, it's awesome. And yeah, I think it's a great thing you're doing, man. So definitely check out PBUG, guys. Mindset wise, just to touch on this, because it's a real key that can often make the difference, you know, like with athletes, you know, most athletes are like same level of, you know, physical skill, but what makes the champs are like, is that what's going on here? And I know that you're big on that. You got that tattoo, you know, all we are is a result of what we have thought, you know. Very cool. You know, and like, so I mean, who's inspired you with that? You know, who have you kind of listened to, learn from, and maybe continue to learn from, that helps you keep this in the best possible space?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, mate. You're all good giving it that and saying this, that, and the other, but you don't listen to your own shit, do you? That's the problem. It's all right inspiring everyone and going, hey, you know, you should do this and do that, and then people go, oh my god, like, it's so good. But when it comes down to it, it's hard to listen to your own stuff. You just gotta, be in life, be nice, be kind, love, have energy, give, and good energy will take you to the right places. You know, thinking of what you want, a dream. It's like, I remember as a kid, we all had little dreams. I want to be this, I want to be that. Well, that still carries on in your life, you know, and so you are what you think, you know. And it's been a tough few years, man, with the COVID stuff and everything, and musicians losing their head, you know, and so, you know, it's time now to put your head back in the right space and go for what you need to do, you know.
Yeah. Perfect. So Pete, someone with all the skills that you've got, what's something that you want to get better at and take to the next level? Because I get that impression you're always moving on up.
What do I want to get better at? Do you know what? I don't know. Just life, mate. Life is, you know, as a person, always want to better myself as a person, and the way I conduct myself, and the way I treat people, and you know, because you get et up in your own little mind and your thing, and you know, and sometimes you can be selfish. You don't mean to be, you know, but well, I guess I have, being an only child with ADHD. But no, I just you know, better in life, and you know, I have a really nice life at the moment. Things are good. So there's a lot of bad shit happened in the past, obviously, with the studios losing a lot of money, business partners, blah blah blah, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You just kind of got to move forward from it, and be around nice people. Don't be around dark, like, kind of situations, and because it will drag you down, you know. If people are not bringing the best out in you, why would you want to be around them sort of people? Do you know what I mean? So be around people who appreciate you and love you for who you are and what you do. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely, yeah. One cool audit I think that I like to explore with that is like making a list of energizers, drainers. So all the things that light you up, drainers, the things that
suckers, yeah. Because if you've got a great energy, I mean, you what's it like when you meet someone with great energy? You're going, oh man, this guy's wicked. I want to be around him, or this girl's cool. She's got great energy. You want to be around them, right? And that's the same. If you were the same, people want to be around you, but a lot of them are leeches, you know. So you need to figure out who's draining your good energy. You know,
absolutely, and letting go of that, and you know, do what lights you up, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, cool. So last one. So what's the best advice you've ever received? If you to leave a nugget,
the best advice I've ever. God, I've had so much. Well, let's just put it back to drumming.
Yeah, right? Let's do it, man.
£1, £2, £3, £4, £5, £6, £7, £8.
Awesome. Nah,
Yeah.
amazing,
Groove
man.
pays bills, man. Groove pays bills. End of.
Amen to that.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. So just before we head off, so best place for people to find out about you and what you're up to, is that all your PeteRayBiggin.com?
Yeah, I'm all over that.
Cool.
I'm online, so you can shout me on that on Instagram. I generally use Instagram more than I use Facebook. I mean, Facebook's old now, isn't it? But it's like, yeah, I still got all my friends and family on there. But yeah, I guess Instagram is the one. So
cool. Awesome.
fine.
Pete, thanks for being here today, man. Really enjoyed it.
Hey, all good,
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you. Enjoy your gig tonight, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. In Dubai. All good.